I hope you're having an amazing weekend. I am so excited to go live with my friend Aparna. She is a wonderful human being. She is someone I met, I think, over a year ago at this point, and we worked together when she came to me to freeze her eggs. I am going to add her in so we can talk all about the on Tuesday. Can't believe it. I'm excited to chat with her about it. I've learned so much from her because she is a successful author and she's been through the publication process. Hi, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited. I can't believe it's like 2 to 3 days away.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I'm
I'm
so excited
almost
too.
I'm almost finished. So I've been enjoying it
Wow.
so much. Yeah, I really just think I felt so lucky to have you as a patient. And one of the things I thought one day in your office was like, wow, I wish every woman had access to this. I wish that she had like your support, but also like your knowledge and your resources, and it's all in here. And it's crazy because I'm like, this is what I actually asked for in the waiting room that day.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of pinch me moments where I'm like, flipping through the book or just thinking about how far, this journey has taken me. I just remember writing it and putting everything I've got into it, and it's one thing to make short form videos, but it's another thing to really pour all your experience and expertise into something. And it's been such a labor of love. And I'm really proud of it. I feel like it's really, really good, and I know it's going to help so many people, and that's why I'm so excited to talk about it with you today. And I just want to say thank you because I feel like you were one of those people that I spoke to very early in the journey. I'm a first-time author. The extent of my writing before this was like publishing manuscripts, which is important, but this is like a whole different ball game. And I feel like I learned a lot about the process from you. I feel like publishing has changed so much in the last decade, and you showed me the ropes. So thank you.
Of course, of course. So I have a couple of questions for you that I think other people will also have. I was wondering about why this book, why this moment, and what you saw was a real need in the market that you thought that you could uniquely kind of give us all.
Yeah, I think that this was one of the most organic journeys of my life because I definitely didn't set out with this master plan of, okay, I'm going to start, making content on social or put myself out there. And the goal is to write a book at the end of it all. I really didn't have that as a goal that was top of mind. It was more like, what can I do to help the situation? And the situation is that we don't have formalized education and everyone kind of just stumbles through it. We as women are tasked with doing this really crazy 180. It's like all of a sudden we go from contracepting and wanting to prevent pregnancy to then having to contend with our biological clock and having to try and make smart decisions and plans. And if we're in the right place in our life to do so, we have to learn now what it actually takes to get pregnant. And you kind of are left to your own devices, Googling, you're in the Reddit rabbit hole trying to figure out what is ovulation tracking. And I just think it's not fair. And we really needed something to level the playing field. And I've always tried to address that in ways that seemed, feasible to me as a full-time doctor and as someone who's juggling a lot of things. And so I really felt like it was a daunting thing to write a book. And when I made the final decision to do it, I mean, I kind of was very afraid of the year ahead and what that would look like and how I'd handle it. But I stumbled into it naturally because I started to grow a little bit frustrated with short form content. And even my blog, which is so great, I still felt like, okay, it's all fragmented and you don't know who you're reaching or if everyone who needs to be reached is being reached. And this is such a need because there is no authoritative voice or book or resource that someone can go to and treat it like a one-stop shop where it's like health class 2.0, fill the knowledge gap, give people the context that they need. And my hope for this isn't that people pick it up once they're already in the trenches and dealing with issues. I hope that everyone reads it in their early 20s when they're like, okay, now it's time to shift gears and just understand my body and know what could be a red flag for now or for the future. A lot of people don't even know what different signs or symptoms with regards to their periods could mean. And I feel like we just need to really make information that is reliable and not predatory, not trying to sell you something, accessible to all people, all women, all people, all couples, because I think when you are already in the thick of it, if you run into problems, which not everyone will, right? It is not the right time. It's not ideal at that point to be like, okay, now let me start from step one and learn everything I need to know. It would be so great if everyone kind of knew the basics. And then if things became more complicated, they'd already have that foundation. I think it's really hard to learn when you're in a vulnerable spot, you're fearful or anxious. It's so much better to kind of already be equipped.
Yeah. I think so many women will find it when they're in the trenches, though, of whatever their process
Yes.
is. And what I really like about it is that it is one whole body of work and that I can read the part right now that's relevant to me. Yes, I'll read the
Yes.
rest of it, but I can really focus on that because there's like
Yeah.
a table of contents. There's like understandings.
The
I can
index.
yeah, there's an index. There's a glossary, very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
And then, in a couple of years, I can still pick this up. I'll be in a different part of my journey. So that's what I really loved about it, like the timelessness of how it can sit on a woman or a man's bookshelf and still be relevant throughout the entire journey. And I know what's
Yes.
great about so many of us nowadays is that we are all talking to our friends about it, or
Yeah.
hopefully people are speaking about their, experiences with their close group of friends. But there's some like again, that's a kind of almost like a Reddit thread. It's a loving one, it's a compassionate
Yeah.
one. It's not like this.
Comprehensive. You're not going to get all the right information. There's a lot of hearsay. I
Right.
mean, I was at a speaking event just 2 days ago, and like I was talking, just throwing out really simple facts like, okay, you don't ovulate in alternating fashion. And I said, by show of hands, who actually knows that? And like one person raised their hand. And it seems silly, but that's just one example. Let me use that example. If someone has a fallopian tube that's blocked, they're like, oh no, my chances are reduced by 50% because they think that fundamental
Right.
fact about ovulation is true. Or they think that myth is true.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, that's not how it works. It actually only reduces your chances by 15 to 20%. So I think if you know the basics, if things do get complicated, it will make you feel less stressed about it because a lot of times the assumptions that are made are just so off and maybe overly negative or alarmist. And I just think even when it comes to the biological clock, that's another huge example. People think it's a cliff, right?
Right.
And so I just want women to feel calmer after reading it. I want people to feel calmer and more in control concerning a process that's also largely out of your control. And I think that we have to admit the things we know and the things we don't know. And
Mhm.
that's okay. But I just want everyone to fill the knowledge gap and to have a resource that feels like it's your best friend sitting in the clinic next to you and helping guide you, whether that be, telling you what questions to ask to suss out which type of clinic is the right clinic for you, what to focus on. I think that's the biggest thing about this book is helping people to prioritize because a lot of the things that people fixate on are not necessarily the things that I would focus on as a fertility expert in the know.
Right. There's a lot of compassion in this too, and a lot of storytelling. And I think that was really relatable to so many of us who are scared to pick up things that are very science heavy or research heavy or like
Yeah.
almost feels like a textbook. How did you kind of balance that out for your reader, not knowing who exactly your reader is?
I mean, I think that I actually started with the patient stories
Okay.
and I sat there and like brainstormed, and they're actually real stories. Like this is inspired by my patients. Obviously, I changed names and minor details here and there so that it's not, a HIPAA violation. But um, I started with the stories because I noted that when I share things online, that's what resonates with people because people see themselves in other people's stories. And I
Mhm.
think the biggest thing is to not feel alone because you're definitely not alone. You're in good company no matter what challenges you're facing or what anxieties you have. There is someone else with those same questions and those same thoughts and emotions. So I started with the stories and then kind of built around that. I mean, I started also by thinking about the logical flow of things. And the first half of the book is because a lot of people assume this is just for people that are going through IVF. And I think nothing is further from the truth. It's really more like an all-encompassing fertility Bible. And the first half is what do you need to know? Like, first of all, what do you not know? Let's talk about the
Yeah.
knowledge gap and just
And
like,
then also
yes.
address those. Bam, bam. I was like, oh, okay.
Exactly. Just so that it's kind of like compelling to the reader, like, this is why you need to read this book
Mhm.
because there's so many misconceptions. And then just kind of going through the basics of like, what does it take to get pregnant? What are the actual lifestyle things to focus on? Providing real practical guidance that isn't going to overwhelm you or make you feel like you have to live in a bubble or be perfect. And I think the culture of a lot of prior resources, first of all, a lot of them most of them are not written by actual experts or physicians who really know the biology and actually help people get pregnant. First problem. Second is that I think people are trying to give the audience or the reader what they want. Like everyone wants kind of to just be told what to do because when something feels overwhelming or complex, it's easier to just kind of follow a manual.
Mhm.
But I think when we start telling people there's a formula and you have to take these supplements and you got to do this and you got to do that, and it becomes very prescriptive and formulaic, it's almost sending a very negative message. The undertone of it is if you're struggling, you're in this position because you didn't do these things.
Right.
And I don't think that there's science to back that up a lot of the time. And I think that a lot of people carry guilt and shame and self-blame and it's just really destructive. And that's what I really wanted to break down.
Yeah, I felt that too in the book. I also like how you tell people like there's a vitamin section, and I came to you for my third round of egg freezing, but I did two prior to you. And it was interesting because I did come across some of those books you were talking about that were not written by
Hmm.
physicians. And they said the craziest things, and they wanted you to follow this formula. And when I was sitting there speaking to other women who were egg freezing at the same time as me, they're like, "You didn't follow the book." And I literally
Yeah.
started beating myself up. I'm like, maybe I could have gotten two more eggs or
Yeah.
more, and so there is just like a lot of self blame that people put on
Hmm.
themselves. And I think that's an amazing part about this book, too, to kind of relieve that and to kind
Yes.
of alleviate that and say you can control what you can control, but you can also control, which I thought was interesting, your mental health, which you put a
Hmm.
whole chapter in here about mental
Yes.
health. Why
Yeah.
did you include that in what is about fertility, really?
Yes. Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but I'll tell you the personal one first, which is I went through IVF, and I kind of went into it cocky because the context of it was I was doing it for fertility preservation. And I said, okay, like I'm assuming it's not going to be a problem. I'm not coming from a place of things aren't working and now I'm doing this. So I went into it with a very different attitude than what a lot of people traditionally would have when they embark on that type of a journey. And plus, I was like, I'm an expert. So, like, I'm prepared for everything that can come my way. And, one of my cycles was canceled because there wasn't just any growth happening. It was like one follicle was growing and it just wasn't worth it to move forward. And I was like, okay, that was not expected. Like, that's
Right.
frustrating, but it's okay. Then I went through another retrieval. I got two eggs, got
Mhm.
the call, a week later that nothing turned into embryos. And I felt so shocked by how upset I was. I really didn't anticipate that I would feel so upset. And I did feel guilty. I did kind of blame myself, even though I can intellectualize all the things and I know as a physician, like what actually matters and what doesn't. And it's not like one night of bad sleep, is going to translate into a failed cycle. But I kind of was like, you know what, maybe I was too flippant and I should have been doing all these things. And I just, I all the things I try to like help my patients work through mentally, I was suffering all of those things. And I thought to myself, if I, as someone who has all the resources and understands the science, could feel like this and could feel blindsided, how does the person who doesn't have that backing, go through a process like this? And not even in this context, but there's so many very stressful situations that can arise. And so that's my personal why. But then obviously my professional why is that I see so many different patients and longitudinally follow them. And the common thread that I see in the ones that not only make it to their goal, but
Mhm.
also do so with their relationship intact, with their sense of self intact. Like I see how different people handle things differently. And the resilience and the mental health piece is so important to that journey. And I think that that gets overlooked a lot. Like, not every clinic has mental health resources. I work really closely with a clinical psychologist. So I think in my training and in my clinical experience, I've seen how it can really benefit people. And I don't think that it's something that we should ever be leaving out of the conversation. So, yes, I'm a physician, but I think mental health is just as important as physical health. And people feel really alone in this journey. I mean, there's a reason why there's so many people in these online communities talking about their fertility journeys, sometimes anonymously, because
Mhm.
they we need each other. They don't want to do this alone. And sometimes it's hard, even if you're partnered, because everyone reacts to stress differently. And so in the mental health section, there's even a whole kind of guide of how to navigate that and how to make sure you're communicating effectively. But I really haven't seen that ever been done before. I don't think that it's something that's been emphasized enough.
Me either. And I love that it was just such an integral part of this. It wasn't just an afterthought either, because I think it is something we ignore so much. I mean, I went through egg freezing, and yes, a lot of my friends had done it and we shared stories, but there's like always this comparison to, and
Yeah.
we do it a lot in this journey. And this kind of makes you think that, like, hey, we're all in this together. Like, you could have
Hmm.
gotten 2 eggs, I could have gotten seven. It doesn't matter. It's a
Yeah.
journey. And I really think that was like my biggest takeaway from this too. What would you like as we end this out? What would you like your readers to take away from this?
I want everyone to know that this is a book for everyone. I mean, I think it's for people that are curious, that feel like they just don't have all the education, which honestly I think is like 99% of the population.
Colors.
I hope people give this to, people that they know that are in their early 20s. I hope people give it to couples as like a wedding gift. I hope people read this before they even start trying so that they can go into it feeling more informed, more in control, and less stressed. And for the people that didn't have that opportunity to get that formative education and they're in the thick of it right now. I hope they pick it up and they read it and they have a sigh of relief at the end of it all because they're like, okay, I feel seen and I know I'm not alone and I know that I have options and there's every reason to be hopeful. I hope people stop reducing themselves down to a statistic or a lab test and realize that they deserve compassion and they deserve self-love. And this is nothing to do, fertility is not a meritocracy. This is nothing to do with what you did or what you didn't do. It's not your fault and you're not alone. Those are really the main themes and the things that I hope people feel after putting down this book.
That's amazing. And I think they will. So on Tuesday, they can get it, but they can actually just pre order today. So I'm going to be dropping the link in my stories for anyone watching. I'm sure you're sharing that as well. But if people order today, they'll probably get it about Tuesday, Wednesday. So I
Well,
think that's,
here's the thing. I was out shopping for an outfit because I'm so last minute with these things. And
yeah.
there's all these fabulous events. I'm so sad you can't make it to any of them because you're not going to be here. But I was in a store and a woman came up to me and it just felt like very meant to be. She's like, "Oh my God, I follow you on Instagram. I'm going through my fertility journey and blah, blah, blah." And we were talking and I'm like, it's so funny because she was like, I saw your book in Barnes and Nobles yesterday, and I thought that it wasn't out yet. So I think you might be able to get it in bookstores now because they're like stocking the shelves. So that's my inside scoop for you.
Wow. So if anyone's really eager to, it's the weekend, you can do it. Go visit your local bookstore and see if you can find
Yes.
a early copy. I have my own, so I feel special.
Yes, but tell everyone about it. Honestly, spread the word. I think the biggest reason to do this was to make an impact. And I know that from what everything you taught me about publishing, I know that this first week really signals to booksellers and anyone that will stock this book that this is a priority and this is important and that people are going to come buy it. And I want to get into more people's hands. So help me with my mission, help me close the fertility knowledge gap and spread the word.
Yeah, so everybody pre-order and pre-order from all your favorite authors, by the way. It really does, like Dr. Saccone said, make a big difference. So we're here to support other authors as we go on our own journeys. I'm writing my second book right now. You
So
have,
excited for you.
well, I'm supposed to be doing it today, but I read your book instead. So,
Oh, thank
um,
you.
that's a good way to spend a cozy Saturday. So I hope all of you get a chance to get this book very soon and share it with all your loved ones.
Love you, Aparna. Thank you so much for all your support and have a great
Yeah,
weekend.
you too.
Bye. Take care.